Gilbert Arenas was arrested earlier today on charges of illegal poker games. I found this interesting. I'm just going to read some excerpts from this article. Gilbert Arenas was arrested Wednesday in connection with a federal indictment that alleges the former NBA star hosted illegal high stakes poker games at his mansion in Encino, California, according to a release from the United States Attorney's Office of Central California. Arenas is officially charged with one count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, one count of operating an illegal gambling business, and one count of making false statements to federal investigators. He is scheduled to make his first court appearance and be arraigned in the U.S. District Court on Wednesday afternoon in Los Angeles. So I'm sure they've already had that court arraignment, whatever you would call it, earlier today. And the other thing about this in this article is Gilbert Arenas teamed up with this Israeli organized crime boss by the name of Yevgeny Giora Gershman. So they teamed up together. And what happened was Arenas rented out his Encino house for this guy to conduct his illegal poker gambling games. I don't know much about poker. I've only played it a few times in my life, so I can't really describe what's going on with these poker games that made it illegal. So they're saying this guy and Gilbert ran illegal pot limit Omaha poker games, among others, that collected a cut from each pot contested, that is. And it says, this excerpt kind of made me laugh. It said, prosecutors say that the group hired chefs, valets, and armed security guards to staff the games, as well as young women who served drinks, provided massages, and offered companionship to the poker players in exchange for tips, and that the co-conspirators took a cut of the servers' tips from the games. That is pretty funny. So essentially, these young women who are serving drinks provided quote-unquote massages. We know that was something totally different than massages. I'm sure they provided some sexual services to all these guys who play in this game, and that allowed them to even get higher tips. And I believe that it says here, the co-conspirators took a cut of the servers' tips from the game. So obviously their tips were taking a cut from them. But yeah, that's what I think that was going on. You know, you have hot, attractive women, put them in a room with a bunch of crazy gamblers, and also them performing special services for these gamblers. And these guys will waste a ton of money. It's a recipe for a disaster right there. So who knows what other trouble he can get into with this, because these women were performing sexual acts, which I do believe they were. It's hard for me to believe that they weren't. I'm sure he can get in trouble for prostitution. It wouldn't surprise me if that came up too when they're investigating this whole entire situation. Now, I have to be honest, I've never liked Gilbert Arenas, the player. I mean, the person. I meant to say I've never liked Gilbert Arenas, the person. Player, I never really had anything against him when he was a player. Didn't really care much about him. He was a good player during his years with the Wizards. He was a legit all-star, I believe perennial all-star, but never cared that much about him when he was Agent Zero and he had his saying, the hibachi saying he used to say back in the day, that I didn't really care about him. I always found him kind of quirky and corny to a large degree, with him trying to get attention with the silly antics he would do off the court, the silly things he would do. And I have never liked his personality. I believe he's a super troll. I'll give him this. He's skilled at monetizing what we call now, unfortunately, the attention economy, in which he's able to get a lot of money by saying stupid things, outrageous things. He knows people are going to click on his videos and they're going to watch the stupid things he says, and they're going to get riled up. Like, I've just never been a fan of this guy. I found him annoying, dumb, stupid, but he's great at trolling. And unfortunately, in this era, trolls make a lot of money. that's where the money is at. We've seen this so many times in so many forums where sports, political, entertainment, and he's taking advantage of this. Do I hope he goes to jail? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I can't stand this guy. It'll be a breath of fresh air not to hear from him for a while if he does get sent to jail. Not a fan of his show, No Chill Gil. So yeah, I definitely hope he does get charges, not just charges pressed against him. I hope he does go to jail. I really do. But we'll see. He is rich. Ground on how rich he is if he's wastes his money. But one thing I've learned over the last several years, I think we've all learned this, is that rich people, they play by a different set of rules versus normal people. They always find ways to get out of trouble due to their wealth. They can pay for their freedom. So I'm assuming Gilbert will probably be able to do that if he does have as much money as we believe he does have saved up. I think he has millions of dollars. So I'm sure he'll get out of this, but it will be a very painful experience for him to deal with all this. And it shows like what an idiot this guy is. Like, why are you conducting high stake poker games when you're a retired, allegedly successful NBA player financially with the amount of money that you saved, allegedly? So why would you do this? It makes no sense. It just seems idiotic and stupid. I kind of wondered, like, was this the case of him being just a dumb idiot, or did this Israeli crime boss Gershman have something on him, and then he was compromised? That's what I kind of wonder. Granted, I lean towards it being that Gilbert Arenas is an idiot. That's what I'm going with, but who knows? But I will say this: I expect him to get out of this. If he doesn't, I'll be surprised. And I'm not gonna lie, happy to see him go to bars. I just can't stand him. I think he's an example of what's wrong with society when it comes to this trolling culture that we live in today. That a super troll like him is able to make a lot of money. I'm not a fan of these trolls in any of these forums. Like I said, whether it's sports, entertainment, politics, not a fan. Just like to see these trolls get taken down. But that's all I have to say.